Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here, and today's an interesting day for fans of Call of Duty, for fans of the Nintendo Switch. We got news earlier today that Microsoft had signed a deal, or has signed a deal with Activision to bring Call of Duty to the Switch, and it's a 10-year agreement. We don't really have a lot of details yet about what that actually means in practice. And of course, I think the skeptic in me, my initial response, and I think this is the same response a lot of people have had, is that's awesome. I really enjoy Call of Duty. It's maybe my second favorite kind of go-to first-person shooter game, especially for online matches, that sort of stuff. I'm still mostly a Halo person. I really enjoy Halo Infinite. I don't play it as much as I used to, mostly because I don't have time, but I do think it's a great game, even though a lot of people would say that Halo is dead at this point. I don't think that's true. I still enjoy it, as do a lot of people. But anyway, Call of Duty coming to the Switch. My question is, does this mean Call of Duty Mobile? But I guess that they had said something about parity and how it would be, sort of in line with what we get on Xbox and PlayStation and other platforms that it might show up on. So I'm really curious about this. So I guess my other thought would be maybe this is sort of a streaming version of what Call of Duty could be. And of course, this just speaks to sort of the limitations of the Switch hardware. And don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic system, and there are some gorgeous titles on it. In fact, tomorrow, I'm recording this on February 21st. Tomorrow, I'm going to get the physical copy of Metroid Prime Remastered, and everything I've seen about that suggests that it really utilizes the Switch hardware successfully. It's a beautiful looking game. I can't wait to see what that looks like. So maybe there will be a version of Call of Duty that they're able to get running that looks kind of in line with what you would see on the Series S maybe and the PS5. It's hard to believe that that's really going to be close to those versions, however. So I am curious to see what this looks like. Again, maybe it could be Call of Duty Mobile or something comparable, but that wouldn't really line up with the whole idea of, these are in line and comparable with what we're getting on the other consoles that are out there. Part of this conversation, though, and this news made me think about the last time we had Call of Duty on a Nintendo console, and that would have been this gem right here. Get the glare out of the way. This is Call of Duty Ghost on the Wii U. This was an interesting game when it came out. So this came out in 2013, November 2013, actually not long before the Xbox One launched, right? So Xbox One comes out, obviously that's sort of a leap up in horsepower for Xbox and everything they're able to offer. It was sort of right in line with that time frame. And I remember getting this when it came out, and actually since then I had sold it, but I'm kind of building my Wii U collection back up. And so I found this for a really cheap price, wanted to pick it up and just kind of revisit it and see what it was like. But the timing of it was crazy because I just got it not long after we got this announcement, and I was like, you know what, today's a good day to check this out and see what things are like. And so I did. I popped it back into my Wii U just to kind of see what I thought about it and to revisit it. And I can vividly remember when this came out, my response was, this actually looks pretty good. I can remember thinking, a lot of people talked about how the Wii U hardware might be a little bit limited compared to its competitors, but I remember thinking that it looked good, it looked solid, it ran at a good FPS. Having put this back in and having played a lot of the more recent Call of Duty games, I gotta say it doesn't look great. And I've got some footage here just to kind of give you an idea of what this looked like. Then, you would hope that the Switch would be able to get a version of Call of Duty going that's not quite as rough around the edges. The way this looks to me, honestly, is kind of in line with, what you would see if Call of Duty were on a PC and it was on low settings, or I don't know that I would say ultra low, but definitely the low settings. The FPS is solid. And actually, before I had to go do some work this evening, I had popped this in and I managed to get in an online match. Crazily enough, I did not expect that to happen. I logged in. As soon as I got into multiplayer, it put me in team deathmatch. I was playing with other people. For the most part, it ran fine, but I got to tell you, playing this game with the Wii U gamepad is not ideal. And then I couldn't find the charging cable from my Wii U Pro controller, which really would have been the better way to play it. But I did get through a match. I came in second place. I had like 11 kills, 13 deaths, something like that. So for not having played this game in, I don't know, a decade or however long it's been since this came out. Maybe a little more recently than that. But anyway, I did pretty well, all things considering. But again, the gamepad is not the ideal way to play this. I did go into the campaign also just to see what it looked like. The graphics were kind of similar. Everything just looks a little bit textureless, featureless. The lighting is okay in parts and it runs well. But when you compare it to current gen Call of Duty games, it's rough. It's tough to look at. But it's interesting though, again, that's sort of having the hindsight of 10 years of upgrades to graphical engines, to 10 years improvement with console hardware, all of that. So, but again, I do remember thinking that this looked great when it first came out. But anyway, I wanted to just sort of reflect on that a minute. And again, just kind of get your thoughts about what we can expect with Call of Duty coming to Nintendo. Now, as I understand it, this whole thing kind of hinges on the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal actually going through. If it doesn't go through, I don't know what that means for Call of Duty and Nintendo. It might be kind of dead in the water at that point. But I am really curious to see what the end product of this looks like. Part of me is skeptical, but part of me also wonders if they're planning ahead and maybe they know something about Nintendo that we don't. Maybe the Switch successor is really far along in development. You would think at this point it has to be, right? Given that the Switch came out in 2017 and here it is 2023. So maybe they're planning for that one, and maybe that's a more sturdy, more hardy piece of hardware that can run these games more successfully than something like the Switch could. But anyway, let me know what you think about this whole deal. Is this going to make sense? If you played Call of Duty on the Wii U, Call of Duty Ghosts, what did you think about it? Again, revisiting it now, it's definitely a little bit rough. But ultimately, the core gameplay is still there. I think if I'd been playing it with the Wii U Pro Controller, I would have had a much more fun experience with it. But anyway, just curious about your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, thanks so much for watching.